What the hell is going on?
The plan is proceeding as expected.
Oh, really? Do I look like I'm running
Roman Empire
right now?
Leave us.
No, you stay here. I'm in charge.
Do you feel in charge?
I've paid you a small fortune.
This gives you power over me?
What is this?
Your money and infrastructure have been important. Till now.
Pure evil.
I'm necessary evil.
No.
Praetorian Guard is known as a elite group of bodyguards of Roman emperors that got drunk with their own power as they became infamous for their arrogance, corruption and decadence. In the video I want to describe you the reasons why Praetorians weren't elite and why they were so often overbearing. But before we begin with that,
a little history.
Praetorians emerged as a bodyguard force already in the times of the Roman Republic and eventually became shock troops for the Roman emperors in Italy. The main goal of 5,000 Praetorians was not only to protect the emperor from all domestic threats, usurpers in Rome and usurpers elected by legions, but also to suppress Roman mobs as well. Praetorian salary was as much as 3 times higher than average legionary, their mandatory service was shorter than in legions, and they were also the only unit that could bear arms in the Eternal City. The service in Praetorian Guard was pretty much a goal of every legionnaire because of all the benefits and prestige that came with it. Unfortunately, Praetorians got infamous for their attitude of making and unmaking emperors as they saw fit. Fates of emperors Tiberius, Caligula, Claudius, Nero were dependent on mood swings of the Praetorians. Their most dishonorable action happened in 193 after crazy Emperor Commodus was assassinated. With Commodus out of the picture, the Roman Senate elected Honorable Pertinax to become the new emperor. Since Praetorians had been allowed to do anything they had pleased during the reign of Commodus, Pertinax was therefore aware of their shaky loyalty to him and decided to bribe them to ensure their loyalty. What the Praetorians did next could be described as bold. They took the bribe from Pertinax, killed him and offered the throne in a bidding match.
Right now, if you're ready to go, I'm ready to go. And you can make up $1,000 for it. $1,000. 11. I already did 1,000. 11.
The third emperor in a row, Didius Iulianus, promised Praetorians moon when he offered the highest bid, 25,000 sesterces to every Praetorian. But when Praetorians found out he doesn't have enough money, they killed him as well to please the fourth upcoming emperor, Septimius Severus. During the 3rd century, any information on the Praetorian Guard becomes rare, indicating they become unimportant in state matters. Last mention of Praetorians comes from 312, when the Guard was disbanded by Constantine the Great. Let's play devil's advocate for a while. I see a lot of comments that blame Praetorians for everything bad that happened in ancient Rome. But Praetorians weren't the only one who played this dangerous making and unmaking an emperor game. Legions were more than happy to join them in this activity.
Fatality.
Also, let's not forget that Praetorians weren't always killing emperors for money. Sometimes they thought they'd do that for the good of the realm. In 238 the empire had already got 6 emperors, so Praetorians decided to tie up loose ends. They killed their emperor Maximinus in Aquileia, then went to Rome when they found out 3 other emperors, Gordian III, Pupienus and Balbinus, and they slimed out a number of emperors again and murdered the last 2. Cruel, but come on, probably necessary. Yeah, also let's not forget that Praetorians got rid for us of bad emperors like Elagabalus, Nero and Caligula. And even though they were never particularly combat effective, they usually managed to adapt to a war life when in the field. It is recorded they fought bravely during Dacian and Parthian campaigns, so calling them poor fighters and often cowardly punks when it comes to facing real soldiers in the field is an exaggeration. Also, there were times where Praetorians fought bravely for the Emperor in face of certain defeat, even when Emperor had abandoned the battlefield or prematurely killed himself. Praetorians of Otho and Macrinus were indeed screwed over by their masters. So as you can see, the history is not always black and white, and Praetorian intervention in state matters wasn't always necessarily a bad thing. But I get it, you think that elite group of soldiers should be an example of undying loyalty to their commander-in-chief.
Look at this dude. Wait till you see the... No.
But let's get something clear. Praetorians were not elite group of soldiers. 5 reasons.
The reason number 1, living in a city.
Any drill instructor today will tell you that soldiers from big cities usually suck at fighting. Big city folks are just not made for such primitive activity as a military service. You have so many distractions in a city that make you weak and dependent. Praetorians were stationed in the biggest city of the ancient world, and they were no exception to this rule. Which is why when civil war battle happened, legions always defeated Praetorians.
The reason number 2, entitlements.
If you went through any kind of military service, you know it. You always get scolded and you never get any kind of appreciation for anything you do in the military. It is for you to make you 100% alert, more perceptive, and therefore aware of an upcoming danger. Not only that Praetorians don't get scolded, because both the Emperor and Praetorian Prefect are kind of afraid what they might do when you discipline them, but also they get all kinds of entitlements no one has. Praetorians are also constantly bribed, either by their Emperor or by their Praetorian Prefect. And you don't get an elite army by sucking up to them.
The reason number 3, enemy.
Even if you do not fulfill the previous points, you may rely on nature to activate your natural self-preservation instincts to increase your combat effectiveness. Legions live close to the enemy lands, living under constant threat of an attack by barbarians, which upkeeps morale. But Praetorians live 1500 kilometers away, which means there will be at least 2 months before the enemy gets to them, leaving Praetorians completely alert-free.
The reason number 4, no military experience.
Praetorians were hired from noble Italian families, but Roman Italians did not get much into fighting after 1st century. Praetorians also spent most of their service in Rome. Rarely they were brought into military campaigns. It comes therefore as no surprise when I tell you that most of the battle that relied on Praetorians ended up in a defeat. Clean and shaved Praetorians had to look like gay cousins of savage legionnaires when the both entities met in Rome in 193. Even the Roman writer Cassius Dio acknowledged how pathetic Praetorians looked like in comparison with legions.
The reason number 5, weapons.
So far we have shitty men who are used to being bribed and cherished with no enemy in sight and no prior war experience who are living in a big city. And above all that, they have weapons, symbol of power. Praetorians were really bad soldiers for all the reasons listed above, but they were still necessary for any emperor dwelling in Rome to have some kind of troops, no matter how bad and unreliable. But I know you think you would solve the Praetorian issue. So here's a quick Q&A I gathered.
Why not make them loyal?
Long gone are days of Julius Caesar, who saved his ass from mutiny just by giving a gay speech now and then. To make spoiled brats like Praetorians loyal, you'll need money.
Why not just bribe the Praetorian problem away?
We know Praetorians like gold, so let's just bribe the hell out of them. Imperial coffers can take it, right? Well, imperial coffers can, but legions cannot. More conspicuous in bribing Praetorians you are, angrier legions will get when they see their lazy, privileged cousins getting overpaid.
Why not move Praetorian Guard away from Rome? That would surely take care of big city distractions.
You wanna go tell Praetorians to leave the capital where they have all the entitlements and move them to some ordinary camp in the middle of nowhere? Good luck with that. Since Tiberius, Praetorians have the privilege of dwelling in Rome, and as we know from today's society, you only grant entitlements, but you never take them away.
Why not replace Praetorians with loyal soldiers from your favorite legions?
Vespasian and Septimius Severus did that, but those loyal soldiers will eventually succumb to degeneracy under influence of the unholy 5 points.
If they are such a liability, why not disband Praetorians entirely?
Well, you still need someone to control the city and its population that exceeds 1 million. Rome is a city that never sleeps, and bullies are therefore needed. Besides, it's not like Praetorians would let you disband them.
Wait. So how come Constantine the Great definitely disbanded Praetorians in 312?
There is a reason why Praetorians are almost no longer mentioned after crisis of the 3rd century. Roman emperors almost no longer dwelled in Rome, but were either on damage control fighting enemies, or they found themselves a new capital. Constantine's dissolution of Praetorian Guard wasn't some kind of a final retribution. He just disbanded the glorified guard of the city of Rome, a city that turned out to be inconvenient for emperors to reign from. Late Roman emperors just found out that when you cannot move Praetorians, you need to move yourself. So there we go. Praetorians were not an elite group of soldiers, but rather a glorified city guard that was prone to degeneracy. However, as we know, anyone at their place would behave exactly the same. It is worth noting that lack of discipline was the main cause of this. You never led an army to become bored and feeling entitled.
I'm in charge.
Do you feel in charge?